morning. How are you all? I trust by the grace of God you are fine. Today we are looking at probabilities. Probability. Another name given to probability is chance. Chance is a simple English word because if a football match is being played, you know there are three chances. It's either going to be a win for one of the teams, a lose for one of the teams, or a draw for both teams. So the outcome of the match is three ways. That is what we call probability. The chances is three. Now, probability, what we are going to do is to split the probability into two parts. That is theoretical probability and experimental probability. Theoretical probability and experimental probability. So to say, it simply means we have two types of probability or two types of chances. We have the theoretical and we have the experimental. Theoretical and experimental. Good. Let's start with today's lesson. Today's lesson, we are talking about theoretical probability. When we say theoretical, it comes from the English word theory. Theory is something imaginative. It has not yet been done. It has not yet happened. So that is why we are saying theoretical. So for instance, there is going to be a match between Arsenal and Manchester United. And I tell you, the chances or the probability of Arsenal winning this match is 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. That is a theory because it has not yet happened. The match is yet to be played. I am just trying to predict. Good. So another word for probability could be prediction. I'm trying to predict that the chances of Arsenal winning is 2 out of 3. That is what we call theoretical probability. Let's take another example. When you roll a die or when you toss a die, you are about to toss the die, and I tell you the probability of you obtaining a 1 is 1 out of 6. That is theoretical probability because you have not tossed the die. Another example is you want to toss a coin, and I tell you, hey, hold on. As you're about to toss the coin, the probability of obtaining a head is 1 out of 2. That makes it theoretical because you have not tossed the coin. I'm only trying to predict. Very good. Let's look at the mathematical aspect of the probability I'm talking about. Because you heard me saying 1 out of, 2 out of, 3 out of. How is all that obtained? Probability is always event or outcome over number of possible outcome. Probability is event or outcome over number of possible outcome. Very simple. Let me try and put an example there so that it will explain very well. For instance, you want to toss a die. If you look at a die, if I'm talking about a die, please, is what you use to play the Ludo. A die has 6 faces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6. Good. So if you want to toss a die, the total number of possible outcome is 6. There's no way you can get a 7 in a die. There's no way you can get an 8 in a die. You always get number ranging from 1 to 6. So the total number of possible outcome in a die is 6. Now, what is the probability that you will toss a 5? How many 5s do we have on the die? Only 1. So you realize that the outcome for that is what? 1. But the total number of outcome for that is 6. So the probability of tossing a 5 in a die is 1 out of 6. This is how we solve probability. Let's take a question and solve it properly. What is the probability of obtaining an odd number when you toss a dice? What is the probability of obtaining an odd number when you toss a dice? Now, solution. We said probability equals outcome over number of outcomes. It's very simple. Probability is outcome over number of outcomes. So now let's start. What is our number of outcome? What is our outcome? They said odd number. Odd number. The word is odd number when you toss a die. When we talk about odd numbers, they are numbers that are not perfectly divisible by 2. So if you look at the die here, 1 is an odd number, 3 is an odd number, 5 is an odd number. So when you look at the die, we have 1 as odd number, 3 as odd number, and 5 as odd number. So how many outcomes are we talking about? 3. When we talk about number of outcomes, possible outcomes, we are expecting 6 because the die has 6 faces. So putting this and that into our formula, we are saying the probability of obtaining an odd number is what? 3 out of 6. Very simple. 3 out of 6. So anytime they ask you to give the probability of something, remember the event they mentioned. It is that event or outcome over the total number of outcomes. So for instance, in a class of 2 girls and 5 boys, 2 girls, 5 boys, what is the probability of a boy walking out of the class? The event is a boy, and the boys are 5. So that comes first. And what is the total number of outcomes? When you add the 2 of them, they form the total. That is what? 7. So the probability of a boy walking out of the class is 5 out of 7. 5 out of 7. When you toss a coin, it's either a head or a tail. So you have only 2. So what is the probability of obtaining a head? It is 1 out of 2. Thank you very much. And this is theoretical probability. Hope to see you next time where we can talk about experimental probability. You can always go to the assignment section, take a practice, and if you don't get anything, just let me know. But when you do get something, at least leave a thumbs up in the comment section. Let me know you have viewed. Bye.